All right, so we have the Wieldy carbon fiber stabilizer here, and we have the GlideCam HD 4000 here. And as you can see, it's fairly comparable in size. This might be kind of in between an HD 2000 and an HD 4000 in GlideCam, but this is the Wieldy HDV Pro. So it's carbon fiber in the post here, and then everything else is fairly similar to the GlideCam. GlideCam definitely has a much better build quality, but a lot of similarities here. So if you kind of look at the stage area of the GlideCam, there is a top plate, which is a removable stage. And what happens is your camera over here, your camera will be mounted on top of the plate, on top of the stage here. So this entire plate can be disconnected. This one comes off of the Wieldy, and as you can see, it's very similar to what GlideCam is doing. I mean, it's almost dead on, basically. So anyways, you would remove these, and then the top plate comes off. You have fine trim knobs to move the stage left, right, forward, and back, and that's the same that the Wieldy has. So let's take a look at the Wieldy over here. Looks very similar to the GlideCam. You have knobs here that you loosen so you can move the stage forward and back. There's knobs underneath to kind of move it side to side. And then again, the top plate mounts to the top of the Wieldy here so that your camera is back in the position it was when you balanced it. But it's kind of a quick release system, so you could pack your camera away in a bag. But I suggest you go for a quick release system like I have here. This is a Manfrotto quick release plate. It makes it easier for you guys to get the camera in and out, without having to have this thing stuck to the camera, especially if you're moving from a GlideCam to a tripod. But anyways, you can see the similarities here. One of the big differences with the Wieldy though is that the GlideCam gimbal on the side here, this is stationary. So this will often hit the top of the stage if you're trying to do some upside down tricks, which I don't suggest you do, but I do it myself. But it is a stationary gimbal here. So the Wieldy, on the other hand, has a adjustable gimbal. So if you loosen this here, you can actually reposition this entire gimbal up or down on the post. So that kind of adds to some fine trimming when you're trying to balance your rig, because sometimes you want this maybe a little bit higher, a little bit lower, depending on how you're trying to balance your setup. Another thing about the Wieldy is the post here, straight up and down, and it doesn't turn. As you can see, the sled stays in the exact same place as it's loose, whereas the GlideCam, if you loosen this up, this stage actually rotates. And so that could be a problem sometimes when you're balancing your rig, and you have everything perfect, and then it kind of shifts a little bit to the left. That's going to throw everything off. So that was a problem I had every time I threw the GlideCam, in the trunk of my car, and then I showed up somewhere ready to fly. I'd have to kind of reposition it a little bit and just kind of balance it out. So that's one thing I didn't like about the GlideCam. They do have better build quality, but it's the Wieldy has kind of solved that problem for me, because it doesn't shift the sled around. It just goes straight up and down. And this post can be raised quite a bit, as you could see. So you can support heavier cameras, because what you're doing is you're dropping this weight down, and that makes it more bottom heavy without actually adding more weights. So this can support very light cameras to fairly decent heavy cameras. But as you can see, there's a lot of similarities between the two. You could tell it's inspired by the GlideCam. In fact, this is a plate from a GlideCam, and if you can see, it fits perfectly on the Wieldy. And the Wieldy also has adjustable counterweights where you can kind of spread them out from the center of the Steadicam. And you see that exact same setup here on the GlideCam, same deal. So you could spread these things out. So it's very similar in design. Other people, actually just one person has said that his gimbal wasn't so smooth. My gimbal on my Wieldy is awesome, and it's actually very smooth. And I like this. And I think the GlideCam HD 4000 here runs for almost close to $600. And this Wieldy, you'll find it for a bit above $200, maybe $230, $250. So a huge price difference. You can get some really great results with this Wieldy. I highly recommend this as a kind of a starting stabilizer if all you're doing is flying something like this camera here. I don't know if I'd really load it up with monitors and all kinds of other stuff like some Steadicams do, but strictly just for your camera, maybe some small light accessories, the Wieldy works great. And the fact that it's carbon fiber here kind of shaves off some of that weight a little bit, so it's easy to kind of carry around. It doesn't really break down any smaller than this though. That's what you're going to be traveling with. The handle here, kind of similar to the Glide Cam. I believe it has the same diameter, maybe a little bit smaller. So it'll still work on like most vests out there. But that's pretty much it. That's a quick overview of the Wieldy. We're going to take it outside and kind of fly it around and give you guys some samples from the stabilizer. Walk around the tree. I don't know, just pick a tree.